Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me today. All right. This piece will probably be too small to do all the stitches I just highlighted. We'll see. At the very least, it'll be too short to park anywhere, I think. Yeah. So yeah, I was gonna film yesterday, but then I woke up feeling really dizzy, so I didn't get much of anything done. Yeah. My step counter was under 200. So that was a pretty lazy day because I'm usually around 4,500 to 6,000 steps. But yeah, I was feeling so dizzy that I didn't feel safe going out for my usual walk. So, and then I'm cheap, so my step counter is just a free app on my phone. So I have to be carrying it around for it to count my steps, and I didn't. For the stuff that I did do, I wasn't carrying it around very much. So yeah, I said, well, that was a lazy day. But feeling better today, so it's good. Yeah, even though dizziness isn't generally a COVID symptom, I ended up taking one of the at-home rapid tests just in case. But it was negative, and yeah. Feeling better today, so I guess it was just one of those things. Okay, and another short piece. Might be enough for these two, I think. Let me just see, there are quite a lot of parked threads here, so yeah. I will have to do another small piece for that one that's sort of over there, but that's in the next diagonal anyway. Okay, let me see. So again, I'm kind of just working from the bottom up more because the colors are going that way. All right, I think that one will carry downwards, and I'll attach a new one to carry along the edge to go upwards. Yeah. Yeah, I felt bad. I had to ask my husband to pick up our son from school because I didn't feel safe driving. So fortunately, he was able to do that. Because, yeah, I think I would have called a cab for him if that had been the case, because I don't want to take the risk. They say don't operate heavy machinery, right? Yeah, it's funny. When they say heavy machinery, they mean also driving. But my mind always goes excavator when I think of the phrase heavy machinery, not cars. Well, I guess also I worked at a heavy equipment newspaper for a couple of years as well. And, you know, cars were not mentioned. Yeah, it was a place where people could put in ads for heavy machinery. It was always, you know, excavators, log loaders. The only motor vehicles were like the great big, you know, semi trucks, which are apparently called highway tractors, which I did not know. Yeah, first time I was doing some database work and I said, what's a highway tractor? It's like, no, you know, like a semi truck. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, we had a heavy equipment newspaper and and then they also did a horse magazine. So yeah, kind of an eclectic mix. But that was because the heavy equipment newspaper had been started by one generation of the family, and like the next generation of the family, they also owned horses, so they ended up doing a horse magazine as well. Yeah, I can see I'm going to end up with more than one thread of several colors here. That is all right. Oops, getting close to the bottom of this diagonal here. And then start again at the top. So I've seen where some people, they go down and then they sort of snake their diagonal back up, kind of like an alternative people who snake back and forth. I just generally work from top down. Although, of course, if you've watched my videos, you'll see sometimes threads travel upwards when they're sort of right along the edge, but generally working in a top down, left to right direction. Yeah, my rules are, it's not really much about rules, just do what makes sense to you. Oh goodness, tablet's being a little glitchy right now. Okay. Oh, those threads are extremely uneven. Let's try that again. Yeah, and actually that place that I worked with, we also did a one about Vincent motorcycles as well, because one of the owners was into those. They're an old motorbike that isn't made anymore. They're classic, so yeah. Yeah, it was definitely an eclectic mix of stuff, but we made it work. Okay, I picked this one next because, yeah, I could see there's only one stitch of this color. Then I can get this thread ended off and out of my way. So yeah, we are having a gorgeous day today here. It was perfect. Went out for my walk. I wore my jacket because it was a little bit breezy, but it was warm enough that I ended up having to carry it, take it off and carry it halfway through. So yeah, it was lovely. Got a little sun without too much sun, so I don't get burned. Yeah, I burn very, very easily. There was a meme I saw someone share once that says, I have only 2 shades, and it showed Casper the Friendly Ghost and then Lobster Red. It's like, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, my sister can tan and not burn, but I have to be extremely careful. I burn very, very easily. And freckle, as you can probably see. I've got freckles all over my arm. Yeah, they're all over my face. Yeah, or I have to be really careful too. When I was a kid, when we went to Disneyland and we spent a day on the beach and we didn't have any hats, and I got terrible sunstroke. So yeah, that was one of the sickest I've ever been in my life. It was not good. So when my son was really little, I was very obsessive about sun safety, because ever after I got that sunstroke, I became more prone to getting sinus infections and headaches. And yeah, so as you know, they say the ounce of prevention is better than the pound of cure. So I was extremely obsessive about making sure he had sunscreen and his sun hat and stuff. So I had people say, you know, how did you keep a hat on him when he was really little? And I said, well, we spent a couple of days outside, and every time he took his hat off, we had to go inside. Sort of, that was the rule. If you're outside, you have to wear your hat. And took one afternoon of doing that, and then he always wore it. So, because yeah, I wasn't going to take the chance that he was going to get sunstroke. If you've ever had it, it's absolutely miserable. I mean, it's basically a low-grade radiation sickness, right, from the UV rays of the sun. Yeah, it's, oh, miserable. Like, so nauseated, fever, head felt like it was going to explode from sinus pressure, and so nauseated and sick the whole day. Oh, it was not good. We were on vacation, so I ended up going to SeaWorld like that. Oh, and I just remember all day, Dad, I need a garbage can because I'm gonna be sick again. And yeah, it was not good. So. Yeah, and because I have dark hair, I think that made it worse. My hair's darker than my sister's, so I think my head got, you know, cooked, heated up a bit more. And that's why I got sick and she didn't. Or maybe I'm just more sensitive to it, who knows. Just unluck. Not luck, but unlucky, yeah. Yeah, but I've had times where, like, I remember when my son was in elementary school and they had the sports days outside, and people were like, why are you wearing long sleeves? It's so hot. It's like, even with sunscreen, I didn't trust it to protect me from being burned. So, yeah. It was a light long sleeve shirt on top that I had because, yeah, even with the highest SPF, I burn very easily. Yeah, what was it? There was one comic I saw, and I shared it with one of my friends who's the same as me. You know, we're glowing pale even in the summer or we burn. And so it shows this gal standing in the water, and some guy says, oh, you know, nice bathing suit. And he says, I really like that reflective white stripe in the middle. And she looks down and then says, this is a two-piece, because the white stripe was the band of her stomach between the top and bottom of the swimsuit pieces. Like, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, one kind of time considered trying a spray tan or self tanner, but then I was like, you know what? I am too lazy for that, to do the upkeep. Plus the fear of making yourself look orange by accident, right? You don't want to look like an Oompa Loompa. Yes, like I said, I'm starting to get to the point where there's too many gray hairs to pull them. But I could dye them, but I'm too lazy for that. Yeah. So I'll just embrace them. I wonder if you can hear my washing machine. I didn't realize it was going to sound so loud from downstairs. I mean, my laundry room technically has a door, but we never really close it. You know, it's just the laundry storage room, so there isn't much point. Okay, I'm gonna carry this over to the right. I could have gone down into the left too, but whatever. They're both the same, so. Yeah, that's a short one as well. Okay, right. This is only going to be long enough for these 2 stitches. No prob. Oh dear, my gosh. All right. We'll just trim that. Start with a new edge. That's better. Much easier. There. Don't find the spot easily. Okay, and then this one will only be long enough to do these 2 stitches if I remember. Yeah. Used that not too long ago, so that's why I parked it there. Okay, so go back up a bit. Okay, right. Join a new piece. Unthreaded that by accident. Oh well. It happens. Okay, 38, 60. Ooh. Oh dear, pardon me. Okay. I may do some up border on this one. Nope, I will not. Because if it was long enough to sort of go up and back, I would have, but it's not. So I'll just join another thread for the other stitches. So yeah, occasionally I do stuff out of order. Sometimes that is just the most efficient use of the thread. But this time there's not enough thread to make that worth my while. So yeah, I'm gonna add another one there. 3, 3, 6, 3. There we go. Yeah, a lot of color changing in this bit. That keeps things interesting. I always say I save the background bits for when I'm too tired to do anything too complex. I outline them. Of course, that depends a lot on the pattern. This doesn't really have much background bits. It's all pretty intricate. This is the most complex pattern I have made so far. But yeah, I have some that have lots of black background, or Marvelous Garden that I have to restart. In the corner is almost all white for the first 2 pages. So yeah, I outlined that section, and just, so I didn't do that by parking really, and then I did any stitches, lone stitches in there that were not white, and then the rest of it, just fill it in. It will make for a good travel project if we do travel. Yeah. Still pandemic on, and with gas prices being what they are, whew. Yeah, we're not sure. Yeah, we live far enough away from family that it's a fairly long drive. It's 15 hours. But we tried flying, and it didn't really save anything. Cost about the same. And yeah, I don't like flying. I get motion sick much more easily. And there's so much waiting in the airport, you know. And yeah, it's kind of nice too when you're driving. You know, you can take a break when you need to. When our son was really little, we would sort of stop along the way there when there was a playground or something and let him out so he could run around for a bit and burn off some energy. Oh, I remember we first went on that big trip when he was 4 months old. And then when we got back home, and I went to take him to go get groceries the next day or something, as soon as I put him in his car seat, he started crying because he thought he's going to be stuck in it for hours again. And then when we got to the grocery store parking lot, and I stopped the car, he immediately stopped because I was like, oh, okay, I'm not going to be stuck in here forever. It's like, yeah, poor dude. Yeah, he was one of those kids who really, really didn't like to rear face. And he, of course, couldn't see when red lights were coming, so he'd start crying when I slowed down and stopped. And I remember I would actually put the bonnet down on his bucket seat to sort of reach back and rub his head so he wouldn't be so sad. But yeah, but then once he was big enough to safely forward face, he was so much happier because he could see things coming. I think he didn't like being backwards, and I don't blame him. I don't like being backwards either. I get, again, motion sick quite easily. Oh, did I park this correctly or not? I think perhaps not. Let me see. What am I? Oh, I grabbed this thread. That's why it didn't look right. Yep. Good thing for grid lines. Yeah, I see what I did now, but that's okay. I have to do that one at some point anyway, so not a big deal to just do that one first. But yeah, we had some friends there. Their kid was a very fussy baby too. They said she had to drive like 2.5 hours from a big city to home, and he cried the whole drive home. Oh, her husband said basically she got home and threw the door open, was like, please come get him. I'm losing my mind. Yeah. Yeah, because they were giving us encouragement because, yeah, our son was quite a fussy little guy too. But, well, we endured. Yeah, I think he's like me. Has very keen senses, you know. I can hear things other people can't hear. That kind of thing. And I think he's the same way. I remember one night when I was a teenager and I was thinking, what is that noise? I could hear some really high-pitched squeal noise. And I started thinking maybe it was tinnitus, but if I plugged my ears, I didn't hear it anymore. So obviously it wasn't that. And finally found out it was my dad's electric razor charging, like down the hall. But I could hear it from the electricity running through it. And when the light was lit up to let you know that it was charged, it made this little sound, and I could hear the bloody thing. Like, yeah. I have to wear earplugs at night, and I tell people, you know, super hearing is only good if you can turn it on and off like Superman, right? He doesn't get overwhelmed because he can switch it off. Although, actually, we were watching the newer series, Superman and Lois, which is, they have twin boys. And one of their sons starts manifesting powers, and yeah, he gets really overwhelmed by suddenly he can hear people talking, you know, down the street and stuff. He can hear everything, and he has to learn how to blot it out. And Clark has to teach him because, you know, he was born that way, so he's used to it, but their son doesn't manifest any abilities until he's a teenager. So... Although, actually, there was some in Smallville where I remember one time he accidentally, when he first discovers his fire vision, and he almost burns down the school. And then he ends up accidentally burning some Kryptonian symbol into the wall of the barn. And lighting Lana's coffee shop on fire by accident. Oh my gosh. Alrighty. Yeah, still so much of this color, over 5,500 stitches. This is a very commonly used color. I was kitting up for all my projects, and yeah, this was one I think I had to buy 3 or 4 boxes of 12 skins of this color because it's used a lot. I guess because I have a lot of nature stuff planned. Oops. So for rocks and skies, darker skies and things, yeah, it is used a lot. Okay. Yeah, it was interesting actually when they started the Superman and Lois show. Tom Welling, who played young Superman in Smallville, had a guest appearance in the very first episode, or like the one that they had. It was a crossover between other episodes in the DC universe. So he was like there. He played Clark's friend. Yeah. So I remember thinking, because we hadn't really watched Smallville at that point, and I was thinking he looks really familiar. And I looked up, I was like, oh, duh! I'd seen enough previews, right, of Smallville that yeah. They actually apparently tried to get him to come back and reprise the role of Superman, but he turned it down. Well, he said Smallville was a very grueling job. He played that character for 10 years, so yeah, I could see why he felt he was done with that character. That's the longest anybody's ever played it, actually. Okay, let's see what we've got. Oh, pardon me. Okay. Yeah, it's funny, I wasn't so much big into reading comic books as much, but all the movies and TV shows and stuff I definitely like. No, nothing against comic books, I mean, it's just, yeah, not something I've really spent my money on. But yeah, I've had people say, like, that's not reading. It's like, hey, it's still words on a page. It's still reading. Just because there's pictures too doesn't mean it's not reading. Yeah. I think anything that gets your kids to read, you know, embrace it. Yeah, it's funny because I really don't read paper books that much anymore. I was one of those people who didn't think they would ever embrace ebooks, but yeah, the being able to make the font bigger is really sucked me in. Plus, I love being able to just, yeah, press on a word and see the definition. So, or yeah, it's kind of nice, like, if you're reading a book that's in a series and you get to the end, it will be like, hey, here's the next book in the series. Want to buy it? And it's like, yeah, I don't even have to go to the store. I could just click buy now and keep reading. So, yeah. Although I don't read a lot of series books, I find. Or if I do, they're, like I read mostly romance, and with those, you don't have to read all of the series. You know, it's not like something like Outlander or whatever. Most of them are generally self-contained stories, and yes, they will share characters, you know, like the hero's brother from the first book will be the hero of the next book kind of thing, but you don't have to read them. So yeah, I often will just wait till things go on sale. It's very rare that I pay full price for a book, so if I did, that means I really, really loved it. So yeah, there's only been a handful of times where I've read it and gone, oh my god, I need to read the next book in the series. There was one by Sarah Mayberry. She gave away the first book, which was, I'm gonna mix them up. One of them was called Satisfaction. Oh my gosh, Anticipation Satisfaction was the next one. That was it. She gave Anticipation away for a free promotion, so I read it. And I stayed up late to read it, which I don't do very often anymore. You know, getting too old and I need my sleep. But it was so good, I immediately went, oh, I have to read the next book. Bought it on the spot. The only thing that kind of sucked was she was supposedly going to make a third book in the series, Obsession, and never did, because those books were published around like 2014 kind of thing, and there's been nothing since. So I mean, that happens sometimes. They plan it and it just doesn't pan out. So, but I really hope at some point she does write that book, because I really liked those characters and I wouldn't mind visiting them again. Yeah, she's one of those authors that's one of the reasons why I still will read Harlequin in category romance, because her stuff is top-notch. There's been maybe one or two of hers that I didn't like, but generally I've never regretted clicking buy on hers. I think she's from Australia. Yeah, because a lot of her books are set there. So I'm pretty sure she is. Yeah, that's right, actually, because I remember I won a giveaway that she had done with a couple of other authors, and part of the prize was she shipped some stuff from some treats from Australia, so I got to try Tim Tams, which are like kind of like Nestle Crunch bars but better. Yeah, because they got like the puffed rice in them, but oh, they're definitely better than what you could get here. They're so good. And yeah, I had one, and then I was like, okay, I'm hiding the rest of the box from my husband because I don't want to share. Oh. Although, yeah, Canada, we have some a lot of candies that they can't get in the US. We have, of course, the biggest famous is the Kinder Surprise, because that became a law at some point because there was a company that had chocolate, and what they had inside wasn't food, and people were still accidentally swallowing it, and it made them sick. So then it became a law, even though with the Kinder Surprise, like the inside egg thing is pretty big. It's plastic. You couldn't swallow it. But because there's technically a toy inside and you can't see that there's a toy from the outside, they're still technically illegal. So yeah, it's actually wild. There was a few times they said they caught a guy one time, it was on the news. They caught a guy smuggling stuff and they thought maybe it was drugs. No, he was smuggling Kinder Surprise eggs. Like, but it's pretty hefty. There was a guy who was smuggling some back for his kids for Easter. He had 6 eggs and they found it in his luggage, and he ended up having to pay a $6,000 fine. And of course the eggs were confiscated, right? So yeah, ouch. But I sit here in Canada, like Christmas stocking or an Easter basket is just not complete if you don't have Kinder Surprise eggs. Yeah, I said the US, they have more pops, or sodas, as they would say. Up here we call it pop. But and more cereals. We have more candy bars. Yeah, we have Score bars, which apparently they used to have in the US and don't anymore, and they're salty caramel with chocolate on the outside. So good. They're such a satisfying crunch. Yeah, and Oh, what's it called? Coffee Crisp. They're like Kit Kats, but coffee flavored. And so, yeah, I mentioned it. Somebody says, well, what's a Coffee Crisp? Because I didn't know that they don't have them. And then I said that and they said, oh my God, I want one right now. And yeah, they're so good. My husband doesn't love them, but I love them. The only thing I don't like is they're very crumbly and messy because they have so many of the wafer layers in them. When you bite into it, it kind of shatters everywhere, but oh, they're worth it because they're so good. So yeah, there were a few candy bars I was looking up and candies that they don't have. I mean, you can import stuff, but it's cha-ching expensive. And I mean, some things you can't, like, of course, the Kinder Surprise. Yeah, my son still gets those. Yeah, although they had a recall this last Easter. Yeah, I had already bought him some, and it was too late to return them. I couldn't find the receipt anyway. So, you know, I bought him some extra chocolate and then just said, you know, here's the eggs, but we have to throw the chocolate away because it's potentially contaminated with a E. coli or salmonella or something. So, yeah. That's the first time I can remember that happening. Been buying those a lot. I had one here. I bought a package of them for Christmas stocking, and they made it kind of look like the way they packaged it was for, and they look like train cars with, you know, Santa in the front and other stuff. And then I couldn't find them, and I knew it was in the closet, but I couldn't find it. And then later I found them. So I said, well, I guess I took them out of the Christmas packaging and they were for Easter instead. Oh dear. Okay, a few more stitches next to each other this time, so there we go. Yeah, here's the wall of the fountain. There. Try not to pull another thread. Broke my thumbnail. I had to really trim it down, so it's hard for me to pick stuff up now without my claws. Yes, I don't care so much about how it looks when I break my nails. I just hate how you have to cut them all down, and I can't grasp things very easily. I've actually never had my nails done professionally. Again, I'm just too cheap for it. And honestly, I'm one of those people, I can feel the nail polish on me, even after it's dry. Again, those sensory things, right? Yeah. It's just, I don't like the feeling, so. Apparently, they make ones that are more breathable now, that are apparently kosher for people who have those rules, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm too cheap and lazy. Rather spend my money on stitching stuff. Okay. Okay, actually, let me see. Pardon me. Let's do that color first. Yeah, this should be just long enough to do those. I'll start a new one for lower down. The diagonal. see if I have to reset or not. No, so far so good. Yeah, you wouldn't think to look at this that there are that many colors in that area, but there's a lot of subtle shading here. Yeah, it's definitely the last stitch we're gonna get out of this piece. Little piece here. I was just checking the length of that thread there to see what I wanted to part where. All right. Yeah, so I may not have to reset because I'm getting my needles back. Yeah, okay. Yeah, sometimes it just works out that way. Yeah, the further we get from the left edge of the diagonal, the more threads we get either finished or parked out of the diagonal so we can tuck them away until later. Getting close to the end of this diagonal. Always get a little that sense of accomplishment feeling when I get to the bottom one. And that's usually when I back up my work too. because you don't have page finishes like this. I turn the page breaks off when using pattern keepers, so. Okay, I can see I'm going to need 2 threads here for this color. Yeah, no problem. Okay. So I wonder what it'll be. Will I reach 200 stitches by the time I reach the bottom of this diagonal, or what? Just making sure there were no weird loops left. When I pull the other thread, I don't want to pull through a loose loop to the front. The trimmed end was still stuck to me. Nope, that's the wrong one. Yep. That time I was actually able to tell because I saw there was a brown thread part next to the one I picked up and not on the pattern of the one I intended to pick up, so that I knew that was not correct. Yes, I'm always kind of just cross-checking as I work, again, it becomes second nature when you do it enough. Another reason why I don't like to stitch complex stuff when I'm tired. Yeah, takes up more brain power than you think. Guess at least it's good brain exercise though, right? Keep things sharp, hopefully. But yeah, there was somebody I was talking to who said their mom was struggling with dementia, and that they can tell the difference between if she reads during the day than if she watches TV, because she has a lot more fogginess when she watches TV versus when she reads. The reading is more brain exercise. So I thought, well, that was interesting. Because, yeah, I guess, like I said before, in other ones, you know, you're doing that world building in your head instead of it all being done for you on the screen. So, yeah. Takes more processing power. Yeah, and then I think these 3 will be all I'll get from this. Let us see. Yeah, that should do it. Gosh, that parked thread really doesn't want to stay where I left it. Was trying to form a knot on the other side, but I will not allow that. I thought that looked like I split the fabric, but I guess not. Must have been some kind of optical illusion, I guess. Okay. This one's really close to being out of the diagonal, but yeah, I mean, it actually is past that line, but since it is still threaded, I will just do the one more stitch and park it. Like I've said before, it's just a rough guide for me. Yeah, I have another one here. Oh my goodness. There. That was all twisty. There. That's better. So turns out I didn't have to reset after all. Yeah, I'll just finish these last few in this diagonal, and then I think we will call it a day there. So yeah, even with multiple needles, I rarely get it so tangled it can't be salvaged. Might be different with different threads. I'm only using DMC. So I don't know about the CXC brand, which is more of a polyester. Yeah, they use the same numbers as DMC, so a lot of people will swap them out as it's much cheaper. But they did a review of it on Threadbare and said it was pretty comparable. So by the time I learned about it, I'd already kitted up stuff with DMC, so yeah, don't really feel like switching at that point. And again, this one's already threaded, and I think it's going to be, yeah, I'm going to end it off anyway. Then I'll have one less thread hanging. All right, so that seems like a good stopping point. So 190 stitches today. Thought maybe 200, but 190. That's still quite a good day's work, I think. So thank you so much for joining me again today, and hope to see you here again another time. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.